Oh, Joe. People are being goofy out in the audience here. As Unitarian Universalists, we oppose discrimination based on ability, gender, race, sexual orientation, and other identities, and believe equal access to and participation in the democratic process to be an essential civil right of all U.S. citizens. Affirming the inherent worth and dignity of every person and the right of conscience, we also believe that humans flourish under responsible liberty. In this worship service, we'll explore the human condition called liberty. I am Marilyn Cullison, the worship committee chair and your worship leader this morning. Today was Sunday Fun Day, and if you came to the Sally B. White Center, you had to be careful not to step in the lava, but it looked like a lot of fun. I want to thank Nan Reed, who volunteered to be worship associate this morning. And I also have thank yous for everyone on the tech team. This morning it's Barb and Harriet, and they're making things audible and visible, I think. And our pianist, Megan Smith, fresh back from a trip to Italy. Thank you, Megan. And our choir director and song leader, Tom Cullison. And I want to give a special thanks to everybody who sets up the sanctuary, who puts on the service, who takes down all of the accoutrements for the service, and all those who make coffee and goodies, and then clean up. So thank you, everybody. And I want to put a little plug out for, if you think you'd like to have fun with us and volunteer and do all these things, please see me or email me or call me. So thank you, everybody. I want to offer a special welcome to everybody on Zoom today. If you can turn around and wave at the camera. And I want to ask, are there any visitors in the sanctuary? And if so, raise your hands so we can greet you. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, I have a microphone that everybody on Zoom can hear. Do you have any visitors? Oh, good.
Hi, we're Bill and Linda Ochtenberg.
And you're coming from?
Actually, we're moving back here from Norfolk. But we live, we live right. We're gonna be living right down the street. But we can't. We lived here like 4 years, and we moved to Norfolk. We lived here 5 years before Moorhead. Then we moved to Norfolk, Virginia. We didn't like it, so we just came back, and we got a condo here. So we're back.
Welcome home.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm Emmeline. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, which is very far, but I'm visiting with my grandpa. And yeah.
Welcome.
And she's Addie Hurston's daughter.
This is Addie Hurston's daughter. Welcome. And we don't have any announcements today. The only announcement we have is that we ask everyone in the sanctuary to please silence your cell phones. And everybody on Zoom, if you could turn off your cameras at home, that will conserve bandwidth. And I would like to invite everyone to turn and greet your neighbor. century ago, the Universalist minister Clarence Skinner wrote, "The fight for freedom is never won. Each generation must win for itself the right to emancipate itself from its own tyrannies, which are ever unprecedented. Therefore, those who have been reared in freedom bear a tremendous responsibility to the world to win an ever larger and more important liberty. And so may it be for us. We are the inheritors of our liberty, won with sweat and labor and blood of generations before us. May we be a people committed to winning an ever larger liberty for the generations that follow." And Nan and I are going to light our chalices.
Is that okay? Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Words by Reverend Dr. Eric A. Heller Wagner.
We also light our peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work. Peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. And now, please repeat after me. Come, let us worship together. Come, let us worship together. And I invite everyone to rise as they are willing and able for our opening hymn, Faith of the Larger Liberty.
This hymn may not be familiar to several people in the congregation, so Megan's going to play it all the way through one time so we can get used to the melody. Faith of the larger liberty, source of the light expanding, law of the church that is to be, old bondage notwithstanding. Faith of the free, by thee we live, by all things thou give, and thou give our loyalty commanding. Heroes of faith in every age, far-seeing, self-denying, wrought in increasing heritage, monarch and defying. Faith of the free, in thy dear name, the costly heritage we claim, their living and their dying. Faith for the people everywhere, whatever their oppression, of all who make the world more fair, living their faith's confession.
As we enter sacred space of joys and concerns, let us renew both our commitment and our covenant. There are those among us who have endured a loss in the past week. May your hope be uplifted again in this community of faith. There are those among us who have struggled with hardship in the past week. May you find renewed strength in this community of faith. There are those among us who have wrestled with questions that seem to have no answer in the past week. May you find sanctuary during your search in this community of faith. God of our hearts, who is there in the silence, but also there in the storm, make us instruments of your peace, which is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. Give us the patience and foresight to understand that weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning. Sorry, I have mixed up a page. So you heard part of the prayer. So the trials and tribulations of life are more manageable when we share them, and our joys will multiply when we share them as well. So I invite you to our stones and water ritual. We line up over here on the left, and we select a stone or shell, we place it in the chalice, and gently place it in the chalice. This represents our joys and concerns. And if you want to share a personal joy about a person in your life, please use the piece of paper over there, and then I will read it aloud after our ritual's over. sing the children out with the blessing song. And we sing it twice. Thank you. And now, I invite you into prayer and meditation. God of our hearts, who is there in the silence, but also in the storm, make us instruments of your peace, which is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. Give us the patience and foresight to understand that weeping may last through the night, but joy comes in the morning. Amen.
This reading is titled With Liberty and Justice for All, A Brief History of the Pledge of Allegiance by David Morris. It was written May 1st, 2002. 26 states now require the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools. Some require schools to reflect on the history and meaning of that pledge. Reflection would be instructive. The story of the pledge reveals the fears and strengths of this nation. At the end of the 19th century, millions of immigrants poured into a country beset with social unrest. Many believed we needed some symbol to tie the nation's peoples together. The first widely used Pledge of Allegiance was written by a Colonel Balch of New York. His was a simple pledge of fealty and devotion. Quote, I give my heart and my hand to my country, one language, one flag. In 1892, Francis Bellamy, an ordained Baptist minister who had been booted out of his Boston church because of his fiery socialist sermons, composed a pledge that expressed loyalty not only to a nation, but to an idea, liberty and justice for all. Quote, I pledge allegiance to my flag, the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The word to was added before the republic by Bellamy a few days after its first publication in Youth's Companion on September 8, 1892. According to John W. Baer, author of The Pledge of Allegiance, A Centennial History, 1892 to 1992, Bellamy wanted to add the word equality to the pledge, but was mindful of the social climate regarding women and minorities. In 1892, President Benjamin Harrison urged all schools to adopt the pledge. Many did. After World War I, millions of immigrants who had been unable to travel to the U.S. during the conflict again landed on our shores. This sparked a xenophobic reaction, which included, for the first time, sharp limits on immigration. Organizations like the American Legion and the Daughters of the American Revolution lobbied to change the phrase, "my flag," to the flag of the United States of America. They were afraid that some of these little kids with anarchist or communist parents, when they said "my flag," would be thinking of the black flag of anarchy or the red flag of communism, observed Whitney Smith, director of the Flag Research Center in Winchester, Massachusetts. In 1940, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled 8-1 that school boards could compel students to recite the pledge. Quote, "National unity is the basis of national security. The flag is a symbol of our national unity," unquote, wrote Justice Felix Frankfurter. 3 years later, the court reversed itself 6-3. Why? Perhaps the court realized that at the height of a war against totalitarian regimes, a central feature of which was a slavish devotion to national symbols, compelling devotion to our flag was inappropriate and a contradiction of the very spirit of the pledge, with liberty and justice for all. During that war, the nation made other changes. The stiff-armed, arms-out flag salute fell out of favor because of its similarity to the Nazi salute. In 1942, to prevent the cheapening of the flag, the American Flag Code prohibited its use in advertising or on any disposable item. A decade later, the pledge was altered once more. In 1953, the Knights of Columbus launched a massive letter-writing campaign to add the words, quote, "under God," unquote. Then on February 7th, 1954, the Reverend George M. Doherty, pastor of the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church in Washington, D.C., delivered a sermon on the subject. With President Eisenhower sitting in the front pew, the Reverend declared, quote, "Apart from the mention of the phrase, the United States of America," unquote, "it could be the pledge of any republic. I could hear little Muscovites repeat a similar pledge to their hammer and sickle flag in Moscow. Russia is also a republic that claims to have overthrown the tyranny of kingship. Russia also claims to be indivisible." 3 days later, a bill was introduced in Congress to add the words, "under God." Bear recalls that quote, "Congressmen said communists would feel very uncomfortable saying the pledge because they were atheists," unquote. On Flag Day, June 14th, Eisenhower signed the bill into law. Bellamy's 22-word pledge had now grown to 31 words, yet 6 of his original words still best express its central sentiment, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Nan. You didn't think you were going to come without a lot of history here. Thomas Jefferson wrote in our Declaration of Independence, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. Liberty, like worth and dignity, as we refer to in our Unitarian Universalist principles, is inherent. In the Declaration of Independence, liberty is one of the 3 inalienable rights." Benjamin Franklin said this, They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. In Equality in a Sea of Inequality, the Reverend Peggy Clark writes this: "When this country was founded, aspiration was high. The men who imagined it dreamed big, casting a vision of a world where all men were created equal, where rights were endowed by our Creator, transcending culture and expectations of the day, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness would be allowed and enjoyed without infringement. It was a radical and new vision, born from Enlightenment optimism, inspired by scientific discovery. It was an intoxicating vision, as bold as the Protestant Reformation that swept all of Europe. And they had the hubris to believe they could make it happen. They staked their claim in the Declaration of Independence and institutionalized it in the Constitution. They elected their first president, and when he stepped down, relinquishing power to return to the role of citizen, those founders believed they lived to see their vision realized. A new president ran for office, and the Republic was up and running. It was done. A new world order. Those men weren't distracted by the genocide they inspired or the enslavement of other people they required for this nation to be born. They declared equality while swimming in a sea of inequality. Reverend Clark goes on to say, when they declared all men were created equal, they meant white Protestant men. They didn't mean women. They weren't including black people who'd been enslaved or those who were free. They didn't include Catholics, Jews, or people who didn't own land. They were proud of their inclusivity, inspired by their own cutting-edge philosophy. They had no idea how narrow it was, how constrictive, how small a vision. The men who wrote those words were calling into being a more perfect union. They were establishing justice, ensuring domestic tranquility, securing the blessings of liberty. They believed that they and the men of their generation would will this new nation into being, that they would establish the structures required for such a grand vision, they would test it, and then it would be done. Reverend Clark goes on, they didn't realize it would require many more people, many different voices, and they didn't know how many generations would have to be part of the creation of that dream. How long it would take before the nation they imagined would be made manifest. Reverend Clark ends with these words, the soul of America has yet to be born. The soul of America has yet to be born. Harriet Tubman said, I would fight for my liberty so long as my strength lasted, and if the time came for me to go, the Lord would let them take me. This idea of liberty is so important in the Declaration of Independence. It's one of the 3 inalienable rights. The word inalienable means unable to be taken away from or given away by the possessor. And I did look through the dictionary for definitions, and the one I initially discovered was, liberty is the freedom to live your life in the way that you want, without interference from other people or the authorities. And I thought, I believe that we flourish under responsible liberty, and living life the way you want may not always be responsible. So I kept looking. Another definition I found was liberty is a state of freedom, especially as opposed to political subjection, imprisonment, or slavery. And so the question is liberty the same as freedom? And liberty is the state of being free within society from oppressive restrictions imposed by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political views, while freedom is defined as the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants. So I think it's easy to confuse the two words, liberty and freedom, and they're often used as synonyms, but they really have subtle yet important differences. Liberty, like worth and dignity, as we refer to in our first UU principle, is inherent. Liberty is the condition of being human. It's the condition of having the power to act and speak without restraint. It is liberty that facilitates asserting our worth and dignity. Liberty is a component of human agency, of willpower. Freedom, by contrast, is the absence of external constraints that otherwise would restrict our ability to act as we choose. Still, when our freedoms are under siege, our liberty is also affected. We may want to act, to exercise our liberty, but the absence of freedom, because of external realities, constrains us. The Declaration of Independence was an act in which our country exercised its liberty, as it sought to throw off the rule of King George and the lack of freedom that existed because we were colonies and not a sovereign state. So I close with a story titled The Silence of Good People. The Lutheran pastor Martin Niemöller was a prominent Protestant minister in Germany as Hitler rose to power. He initially supported Hitler and then came to oppose him in the years leading up to the war. And because of that, Niemöller was arrested and sent to a concentration camp. He survived 7 years in the camp. And after the war, he wrote a famous piece that begins, "First they came for." Here's an adaptation of his words to the current situation in America. First, they came for the Muslims and the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Muslim or a Jew. Then, they came for members of the LGBTQ plus community, and I did not speak out because I was straight. Then, they came for the refugees, the immigrants, and I did not speak out because I was born in America. Then, they came for people of color, and I did not speak out because I was white. Then, they came for the Democrats, and I did not speak out because I was an independent. Then, they came for the elderly, and I did not speak out because I was young. Then they came for women and their reproductive rights, and I did not speak out because I was a man. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Depending on your identity, you can construct the sequence in different ways, but the conclusion will be the same if you do not speak out. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. In retrospect, Niemöller made a tragic mistake by supporting the authoritarianism of Hitler. He never imagined how far Hitler would go. We should never make the same mistake. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe in the human condition called liberty, that humans flourish under responsible liberty affirming the inherent worth of every person and the right of conscience. The soul of America has yet to be born. Please stand if you're able and willing, and we'll sing hymn number 116, I'm on my way.
I'm on my way to the freedom land. I'm on my way to the freedom land. I'm on my way to the freedom land. I'm on my way, good God, I'm on my way. I ask my sister, come and go with me. I ask my sister, come and go with me. I ask my sister, come and go with me. I'm on my way, good God, I'm on my way. I ask my brother, come and go with me. I ask my brother, come and go with me. I ask my brother, come and go with me. Come on my way, good God, I'm on my way. If they say no, I'll go anyhow. If they say no, I'll go anyhow. If they say no, I'll go anyhow. I'm on my way, good God, I'm on my way. I'm on my way, I'm on my way, and I won't turn back. I'm on my way, and I won't turn back. I'm on my way, and I won't turn back. I'm on my way, good God, I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
I'm on. This month, we begin.
She's not here.
Okay. Oh. Okay. But I should read the introduction. Okay. This month, we begin our Share the Plate offertory, where all undesignated funds in the collection plate for the month will be split between UCF and an organization chosen by the Social Justice Committee. For July, we will be collecting for Stuff the Bus with the Carteret County Public Schools Foundation. No, sorry. She's not here. Megan is going to speak for it.
Okay, sorry that it was either going to be Jennifer Johnson or Martha Sirkin from Carteret County Central Office, and because I was out of the country, there was a little miscommunication, so it's going to be me. So I first heard about Stuff the Bus when I was a teacher in Carteret County. I'm not even going to try to guess how many years ago it was, but it's been going on for several years now. What it is an opportunity to provide new necessary school supplies to K-12 students in the community in Carteret County. So we can donate money, and the Stuff the Bus people, the people I mentioned at Central Office, Jennifer Johnson and Martha Sirkin, they will literally stuff a bus with notebooks, pencils, markers, erasers, highlighters, whatever you can think of that would be necessary for school. They also provide backpacks, shoes, new shoes, and haircuts for students going back to school. As a teacher, new school supplies like that, they get me very excited. I'm very nerdy about things like that. I hope you are too. The event will happen for students at the beginning of August. They'll have the bus, I think it's at the Presbyterian Church down here. Hopefully we'll find out something more particular about that. And we have been assured that our July collected monies will go towards the distribution that happens in August. So please give generously to Stuff the Bus this month. Thank you.
Every dollar that you give helps to enrich this congregation by caring for the building, paying our minister and staff, putting on programming, and supporting our coming together. I invite the ushers forward to collect today's offering. Please join us in blessing this offering with hymn number 402, From You I Receive. We'll sing it twice. Please join me in reading the words on the screen behind me as we extinguish our flame. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now on Espanol. My Spanish is at a preschool level, so I will let you help me, please. Extinguimos esta llama para no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad, o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. Estos los veremos en el corazón, hasta que estemos juntos otra vez. Now we invite all to rise as they're willing and able for our closing hymn.
So we've had a lot to think about today, and this hymn is fairly short, so I invite everybody to sing the words the first time through, and then we're going to sing it again either on a hum or an ooh, just to have a chance to contemplate what we just sang. sunshine goes everywhere. Its temple a place, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
I forgot to talk about something very important at the beginning of the service, and that's that, back by popular demand, we're going to have afterwards today after the service. And so you can bring your coffee or your snack in here, and we'll gather somewhere up here. And only if you'd like to talk about liberty, please join us in a small group afterwards discussion. There's coffee and snacks and socializing behind the curtain. So I would like to ask you if you are comfortable, so joining hands or touching elbows, creating a circle, and I'll read our closing words. And our closing words were written in the year 1577, and they're by Sir Francis Drake. Disturb us, O Lord, when we are too pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we dreamed too little, when we arrived safely because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, O Lord, when with the abundance of things we possess, we have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity, and in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to dim. May you go in peace and return in love.